Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Office Hours. As always, I am joined by the wonderful Flo. How's it going, Flo?
I'm doing good, thank you, Matthew. And you, how are you?
Good, thank you. I'm good. How's the weather in Paris at the minute, Flo? Is there a heat wave?
Yes.
There is? Okay.
Yes, there is. It's pretty hot around here.
This can't be right. I just looked up weather in Paris and it says it's 38 degrees.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's going
God.
to increase a bit. So it's going to 40. And then,
Wow.
so it's going to be like this again for at least one
Wow.
day.
Wow. That must be close to a record.
Yeah, it is actually. So I'm calling this the a neat heat bubble. So
Wow.
it's, we need to be ready. It's going to happen more and more.
Yeah, I had to double check that when I saw 30. I typed in weather in Paris and I saw 38 degrees. I was like, did I miss that? No, it's actually 38 degrees. Well,
That's really hot, really hot. We are all using some kind of tricks to
yeah.
to do this because we are not used to this kind of heat. So especially the babies and the old ones.
Yeah. Hey, Utopi. I will put a link for you in the chat to join us. We can go through your question in person, or you can put it in chat, whatever you're more comfortable with. Yeah, I bought an air conditioning unit off Amazon a few years ago, Flo, when there was heat waves in London, and I highly recommend it if you need something like that. It was a lifesaver during the heat waves.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was really good.
Okay, I'll ask you later.
No worries, Aotopi. Yeah, feel free to post it in the chat.
So is it going to be like last time when we start it's quiet and then
We shall see. I guess so. Well, that's an interesting question from Georgia. I don't know if this is one you can answer, Flo. How many tokens on average does an app generation consume? I guess it's very varied, right?
Yeah, it could be very different. It depends what you are building. So when you say this, you mean for the first prompt, right? Not for an entire app, because it could be hard to answer you depending on all the features you need within your app.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What I can tell you is that normally with the free plan you can do around 10 prompts, something like this. So for kind of a big apps, but yeah, it depends on what you are building. So it could be pretty different.
Yeah.
A good practice, and this is something that we are going to release in app, is sometimes to iterate with ChatGPT for now. So you're gonna have an ask mode in the editor coming. So you could iterate and structure your ideas and what you want to do, and then paste that prompt into the AI chat, so it will consume less tokens. Because sometimes you are consuming many tokens just because you are iterating and structuring your thoughts and what you need to build. And so basically right now it's better to do it within another chat, but then you're gonna have an ask mode, so you could iterate without burning many tokens, and then burning those tokens when it makes sense to build.
Follow up from Giorgio. Okay, does it consume less if I prompt to change a specific element versus the whole page? Or does the entire page still get passed as context?
That's a really good question. So right now we are still sending many things into the context, even if you are scoping your work. But this is going to change. I was just in a meeting just before, and we are working on this. So you can then select really the context that you are sending, and this is why also some of you have some issues with really big applications, because sometimes the context is too large from some models. So we are going to change this. So right now we are still sending a lot, but this is going to change in the coming weeks. You're going to be able to really decide what you want to send to Web AI, so you can send less things and burn less tokens. So it's going to be pretty useful, for example, if you wish to update just a part of the UI. So just that part will be sent to the AI.
Okay, a question from Aotopia. I still haven't figured out a way to send mail to the newly added user. How are you currently trying to do it, Aotopia? Are you trying to use the WeWeb mail plugin? Are you using something like Xano Superbase and trying to use an external mail sender? How exactly are you trying to do it at the minute, if you are trying to do it in some way? Abby has joined us. Hey, Abby, how's it going? I don't think we can hear you. I still haven't got you on my side. Can you hear him, Flo? Okay.
I can't.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Sorry, tech
No
issues
worries.
this morning.
How's it going?
Good, thank you. I had a question around auth. So I am using Superbase auth for my web app, and I'm using the auth via provider, so LinkedIn. What happens is every time user clicks on like the sign in button, they're redirected to a different page where they basically log in with LinkedIn, and then they're sent back to my app. This works perfectly. I've set up like my redirect URLs and my site URL in Superbase for the auth. What's happening is I have the editor version of my app, I have the preview version, and then I also have my production version. I'm not able to redirect back to the page or the site that called the auth. So for example, if I'm calling it from the auth page, I I click on the link, goes to LinkedIn, comes back to auth. I mean, it comes back to the editor page only when the site URL in Superbase is set to the editor page. If I change that, I have to keep changing it every time because it's no longer coming back to the initial website that called it. Is there anything that I'm doing wrong?
I think this would be one for you, Flo, because I know I'm more used to Xano, and I know on the Xano side for something like this, you can have some kind of condition where you define, depending on the referring URL, which URL you want to input, so whether it's the editor URL or the preview URL. But I'm not sure how it works in Superbase. Maybe you have a better idea, Flo?
So I haven't touched this for a while, so let me just quickly check.
Right. So for context, I have, so in my workflow condition as well, so I'm checking the URL. If it's the editor page, then my auth redirect, like the redirect URL that I give within the auth plugin is I'm hard coding the next page that it should come back to. It only works when the site URL is set to editor, but it doesn't, like it's not automatically, I don't think that that logic is being passed back to WeWeb,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Would you be able to show us in Superbase?
Yeah. Can I present?
Yes, there should be a screen share button somewhere.
Okay, awesome. Just a second. Awesome.
Cool. I
Okay.
can see your screen.
Perfect. So like this is my WeWeb flow. And here I have a function which checks if a user is authenticated, if the user is, oops, okay. So what I was doing is actually, I think I need to disable this part, but I am, so for example, here, I've given it the preview domains, the exact URL that it needs to go to. And then for everything else, I'm just saying redirect to auth redirect, which is the page which decides where to send the user once they come back. And I think I had one of these set to the editor page where I'm giving it the exact URL that it has to come back to, but that doesn't seem to be working for me.
It doesn't work when you give it a raw URL?
No, it doesn't. So what's happening is here in Superbase, I've given it the exact URLs and some special characters, right? Like so, for example, this is the editor page. It should come back to OAuth it should come back to the editor side. This is the preview page. If the call comes from the preview page, I wanted to go back to the preview website, but this is overriding everything for me. And I checked with the Superbase on the Superbase chat as well, and they said if you have everything defined here, it should redirect. Those guys didn't know much about WeWeb, so they were like, maybe you should check with folks here.
And feel free to interrupt me, by the way, Flo, if you figure out a way for this. But so how does the where you've defined the redirect page, that's within the Superbase plugin, right?
Yes, this redirect URL is within this plugin, within the Superbase. Yeah.
On WeWeb itself, in that drop-down select where you chose the redirect.
Yep.
That's on. If you click onto a different one, so one of
this one
this one
is auth redirect. This is like just generic. So this is for the split I'm doing is check if the base URL is editor, WeWeb, right? And then if it's not, then that means what's the other split? Yeah. So either it's preview, right? So if it's not the editor and it's not the preview, then it should just do the usual, because eventually I want to swap this to my production domain and have my additional redirect conditions here.
That makes sense. And so when you try this in the one where you manually defined the URL, was that for preview? So it was a preview URL, was that correct? Or was it an editor URL?
Yes. Yeah.
So what happens in production when you actually try to do this? Does it just send you to a 404 page, or what happens?
It sends me to whichever page is defined here.
Okay.
Right. So whatever is defined in the site URL, it defaults to that. It does not like figure out like which URL to send it back to.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally if you have the redirect URLs below, this should work. It should go by default to the source, to what you are providing here. I don't know what you are folding back into the default. So let me just check again in here. Could you go back to the action? In here, instead of binding, you can select a page, right?
Yeah, I've done that for like this. So this is for the when I'm in the editor.
And
I'm
is
just
it working?
saying.
Okay, and is it working for this one when you select the page?
No, it's working now because I've set editor here as my site URL. If I change it, then it doesn't work. So if I change this site URL to my production domain, which is parked right now, it'll take me back to my production domain, irrespective of what I give here.
Maybe this might be a Superbase plugin thing. I'm not sure if you've heard of this happening before, Flo.
Yeah, I need to get in touch with the tech team. Might need to add a security. Maybe that's because of this, but normally this should work. That's why I'm pretty surprised. I'm sorry, I need to run some tests on my side.
Sure.
And then we'll be able to help you. Could you create a ticket? So if you go to the help, if you click help in the top bar, you will be able to create to create a ticket, to report a bug. You can report it, and when you create the ticket, could you add OH for office hour in the title?
Okay.
So it will be easier for us to follow and then to get in touch with the support team. So we can take a look and see what's going on and why it's not working.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And one last thing, I have raised the ticket for this, but I keep running into this build error when I'm building out my project. This has been happening for like 4 days. I've raised a couple of bugs. How can I reach the team quicker?
There isn't. If you put in a ticket, there probably isn't a best way to reach the team quicker.
Okay.
The one thing I would say for this, have you added any custom code recently, whether it's at a page level or an app level or in a workflow of any kind?
I think I have, yes.
That's probably the first point of action to review,
Okay.
to see if removing that allows the build to follow through, at least just to pinpoint where the exact error is. And then also something for this you can do if you ever encounter an issue in the future is if you come out of this logs menu,
Okay.
and if you click the 3 dots in the very top left,
Yeah.
you can run the app with no workflows and no formulas. So this isn't as applicable if you're trying to publish the project and you're getting build errors, but I say this just for the future because I know from trying to implement custom JavaScript, it can cause a couple of problems here and there. So it's just one to know for the future. But I would look into the custom JavaScript you added and custom code as just to try and pinpoint where that exact problem is.
Okay, that's super helpful. Thank you.
Did you try to publish today?
I published it yesterday. I'll try publishing it again. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen some fixes. Maybe this one could help you, but normally if you created a ticket, they should reach out to you pretty quickly, especially if it's a deploy issue. They should prioritize it.
Okay, sounds good.
So you should hear from them pretty quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. All right, thank you, Abby.
Thank you.
There was a few questions in the chat as we were going through it. So question again from Giorgio. What happens when we enter a prompt into the new homepage? Just saw you updated it. Does it generate a draft MVP? It does exactly as it does whenever you first input a prompt. When you load a project, it just takes you through that process. So if you haven't signed up already, it will ask you to sign up and then take you to a new project. Or if you have signed up, it'll do as you said and just basically take that prompt into a brand new project and generate whatever you've asked it to generate. And then Aotopi got back in touch. I'm building an app with WeWeb and Xano that requires me to add a new user as an administrator. And at the point of adding a new user, I want to be able to send a reset password link to the user. So once the user clicks the link, they can just reset the password and log in. Makes sense. What you'll have to do on the Xano side, Aotopi, is first of all, you'll need to decide which mail sender you want to use because you'll have to use an external one. There's a few of them out there. There's Postmark, SendGrid, Resend. I would personally recommend Resend. I think it's very straightforward to use. I will also now try and find if there's some pre-made actions you can actually find on the marketplace to bring into your Xano project. But basically, you'll need a mail sender that you communicate with that sends an email to the users that just signed up. And usually with these mail senders, you can send some kind of templated link. So inside of the email you send, you'll want to send a templated link with a link that links back to your WeWeb project. And then in your WeWeb project, on whatever page that links to, you'll want to have some kind of onload page workflow to basically look into your database, see which user that magic link belongs to, and then based on that, whenever they change their password, that's the password of the user you'll want to change. It usually revolves around having some kind of query parameter. So there's a query parameter in that URL that belongs to the user that allows you to identify the user and then reset the password belonging to that user. This makes a lot more sense visually. So as we move on to the next question, in the meantime, I'll try and find a nice link to put in the chat for you that illustrates it. And then Steve joined us in the lobby, so I'll hop over to Steve. Hi, Steve. Can you hear us?
Hey, yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, basically, I have like this. I'm going to share my screen. You're seeing now, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So basically what I want or what I think is that I have like this state on this list here. So when the user clicks one, let's say I1, right? I can have like this in some way in the param, in the URL. So when the user copy and paste this for any reason at all, it will have that param, so I can filter my collection and I'm using backend based on that state. I've noticed that you guys have like query params variables, but I haven't had like a chance to actually understand it, how it works. So yeah, basically that's my question. Not sure if that's clear.
That's pretty clear.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It should be pretty straightforward. So all you'll need to do is create a new variable.
Okay.
Give it a name. I think it was for the state, right?
Yeah, it's a step.
So just call it state, and then the type you'll want to choose query.
Okay.
And so basically, whenever you create a variable with the type of query, this value will get added as a query parameter to the URL. So now on your state select,
Okay, here.
if you'll want to set up a workflow on the state select,
Yeah.
just above it, I think. So if you back out of this and choose the base component, so
Oh, this is a custom component. Sorry.
okay. So have you got some kind of trigger for on change?
Yeah, it's this one.
Okay, cool. So inside of here, you'll just want to have a change. You'll want to change the value of that query variable and just set it to whatever was selected.
Okay, cool. And then when I hit this, I'm going to have it in the URL, right?
Exactly. You
Yes.
won't see it in. And I think you would see it in the editor actually.
Oh,
Wouldn't you, Flo?
Yeah, I just
You
it
would
in
see it
the.
with a specific query, but if you deploy and you check on the deployed app, you're gonna have really the state name in the URL,
Yeah, I
not
see
the
it also.
www param that you have in the editor.
Great. Yeah, I see it also in the editor, but that's great. Okay, that was pretty clear. Thank you, guys.
No worries. Glad we could help.
Bye.
Bye. All right, don't be shy.
Yes. I'm going to put a link in the chat for you, Aotopi. It's from the Xano team. It's a general video they created on resetting a password with what they call snippets, which are basically templates of Xano endpoints that you can pull in. So in that video, they run through how to utilize that snippet that they give. So how to generate a magic link and then use that magic link to reset someone's password. I will try and find now something on the WeWeb side that illustrates how you would set it up in WeWeb when someone clicks on that link. But the base premise would be that you would use that to... Yes, I'll just put the link in the chat. I'll try and find one now for the WeWeb side. The base premise would be on the Xano side, you'd want to set up exactly what they have. And then just in the magic link that gets generated, you would want that magic link to link to, let's say, a password reset page inside of WeWeb. And on that password reset page, you'd want to have some kind of page load workflow. Actually, no, sorry, not on page load, on form submission. So whenever someone puts in their password, you would basically want to validate who that person is and then reset their password. I'll try and find something that illustrates this on the WeWeb side now. There was a question from Fatu. Hello, sorry if this is a bit of a beginner question, but I just want to be sure WeWeb is right for me. Is there any kind of server-side support? If not, how can I hide credentials from the network tab? And yeah, so that was it. So right now there isn't anything in regards to server-side rendering, unfortunately, but it's definitely on our roadmap. But to answer the point of how you can hide credentials, that would primarily revolve around utilizing a backend. So we do have certain plugins that allow you to input an API key, so some kind of credentials. And if you use those plugins that require credentials, whether it be OpenAI or Airtable or something like that, those credentials will be hidden and not exposed inside of the network tab. But any direct API requests you make from inside of WeWeb using the REST API plugin, if you input credentials via the headers of a REST API call, then those will be exposed. So in terms of hiding credentials, if they're inside of a plugin in WeWeb, they won't be exposed. And for something like, I don't know, if you want to communicate with an external service, you'd want to do that through your backend, because that way it won't be exposed inside of WeWeb, because you'll just be making that call to your backend. And presumably if you're using something like Xano or Supabase, well, you're using the plugin, and so your credentials for those providers, because they're inside of a plugin, aren't exposed. Pretty much, you're pretty much all set directly. So your credentials for Supabase won't be exposed. And then if, let's say, you wanted to use Postmark or SendGrid, some kind of email provider, you'd want to utilize an edge function inside of Supabase to call that external service. And because your credentials will be inside of that edge function and you call it from inside of Supabase, it then won't be done from directly inside of WeWeb, and so it won't be exposed. So yes, by using Supabase directly, you should be pretty much all set. And then if all of the secure things you do from inside of Supabase, and you make sure to do it from inside of Supabase, then yes, you should be all set.
All right, so
I will quickly, for you, Utopia, I can't find anything, unfortunately, to show on the WeWeb side. So what I will quickly do is I will share my screen and briefly run through how to do it. So I was trying to find the point in the video where they show it, but unfortunately, they don't show exactly how it looks inside of the user table. But basically, if you follow this video one-to-one and use the snippet that they give, it will add something to your user table, which is an object column called token. And that basically contains the magic link. And that magic link will be what's sent to the user, and then is what is authenticated against the user. So what I mean by that is, obviously it has the link, and that links to your password reset page. But inside of that link, there's some kind of token. And you can use that token against users to validate, or rather authenticate, which user is making the call, because you can take the person making the call's token, check it to see, okay, who does this token belong to in the database, and then you can authenticate them that way. I was trying to see in the video if they show what they add to the user table, but they don't, unfortunately. So you'll just have to know that this gets added to the user table. And then on the WeWeb side, let's say you have an input here. and it would be password. And you probably want to confirm password underneath, but for the sake of time, I'll just leave it to password. And in your form container on submission, you'll want to call the endpoint it gives you in their snippet, which is, it is magic login, actually, it's this one. So in that magic link, one of the query parameters will be this magic token. So you can call this auth magic login endpoint, pass the magic token, see who the token belongs to, and if it belongs, or depending on which user the magic token belongs to, you then change the password of that user to be whatever password was input. So hopefully that gives you enough of a premise to go off. No, you can't, unfortunately. Abhishek, you would have to export the project to see the raw code.
All right, I managed to reproduce the issue with super-base rejection.
You managed to reproduce it?
Yes. So
Nice.
indeed, there is something odd. So you'll be able to reach out to the tech team and ask them.
Super. since it's just approaching 1:45 and there doesn't seem to be any more questions, I think we'll give it 2 minutes. And then if there's no more questions, I think we'll end it here. No problem, Topi. If you run into any issues, feel free to post on the community forum. Password reset flows aren't an easy thing by any measure. So yeah, if you run into any problems, feel free to post on the community forum. Super, right. I think that'll do us. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us this week. As always, we are here every Tuesday, 6 to 7 p.m. Central European time. Thank you for joining me, Flo, as always.
Thank you, Matthew.
And thank you so much, everyone. We shall see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. See you.